So I've been coaching for a long time now, over 20 years, and there's definite trends and patterns that I see in the amateur game which we don't see in the professional game. As we work through these, they're going to be really, really simple. Work on these and you'll start to hit it better. So when we look at professionals versus amateurs, the first thing I want you to do is look at your weight or your pressure shift. Professional golfers in the downswing shift their pressure earlier than amateurs. That's a very, very common pattern that we see. So as we make a backswing, your pressure will build under your trail side. Now in the downswing, when your lead arm is level with the ground, so here in the downswing, you need to have already got around about 70 to 80% of your pressure under your lead side. If you're someone who's watching this video thinking, I struggle a little bit with strike, I struggle with that compression, I don't get the distance that I like, this one's for you. So what we tend to see with the pros is they get back and they shift early into here. Very, very common in the amateur game, as I'm sure you've seen on the golf course, golfers getting stuck on this back foot here. They might shift their weight, but it's a little bit too late. The ball is already gone. We can't really recover it. So here's a little drill, really, really simple to help you do this. If I ask you to stand nicely balanced, and without moving your upper body, I just wanted you to lift up your lead foot, what would happen? You would fall over. Well, you probably wouldn't fall over because you'd probably stop yourself falling by putting your foot down. But if you just lifted up your foot, you would fall towards the target. So what I'd love you to do as a little practice drill is make a backswing, load that pressure into that trail leg. And as you get towards the completion of your backswing, just lift up your lead foot. Now, the key thing is when you lift that up, you're not looking to maintain balance. I'm not looking to go over here and lift it up. I'm looking to stay centered and lift it up. So watch what happens when I do that. I make a backswing, I lift my foot, I fall forwards. Now I stop myself by putting that foot back, but what it means is that my pressure is going very quickly and aggressively from trail side to lead side. That's what the pros do. That's why they're able to get that lovely ball turf contact. They're able to get that compression, that kind of fizzing ball flight that we all kind of desire. So as I set up, I'm going to make a backswing, lift the foot, and that means I'm getting into my lead side much, much sooner. And just that little exercise is going to straight away give you those feelings that you want. Pressure early, lead arm high, lead arm level with the ground. Now I'm in a great position to kind of rotate through. Now, can you hit shots that way? Absolutely. It's not easy, but I would ultimately build that into a backswing where you just feel like the weight is being removed from that foot, but ultimately it's not lifting. Oh, and that one's actually on a pretty good line. Second thing that the pros do that you probably don't, and this links very nicely into that first point. When we look at the pros versus the amateurs, the pros tend to shift laterally towards the target more than the amateurs. Very, very common trait. It's very, very rare for me to see an amateur golfer who shifts towards the target too much. It happens, but it's just rare. It's far more common to see these golfers leaning back, weight back, hips back. And as you can probably imagine, that really compromises contact. So ultimately, when we're looking at hitting irons from the ground, we have to be doing some things that help strike. A perfect strike is the club bottoming out after the golf ball. Low point target side of the ball. Now that doesn't always mean you'll take a divot, but if the conditions are right and the right club in your hands, you will take a divot. And we see this all the time with the pros. They tend to take divots after the golf ball. The only real way we can do that, if you use this alignment stick here as a reference, is at impact if we have shifted towards a target. You can see how I'm closing that gap between my lead hip and the alignment stick. And as I do that, I'm able to take the handle forwards with me. This impact position would be pretty close to what we see from great players. Wouldn't be uncommon for amateurs to see something like this. And as you can see, as I do that, the natural movement of me moving my hips back brings the handle back as well. As a little bit of a side note, this movement with the hips tends to promote a slightly out to in path as well. So if you're someone who fades it, slices it, those kind of things, this can be very much linked. So let's just build a station like this. Really, really simple. I've got an alignment stick. I'm sure many of you are going to have those in your golf bag, or equally you could stand at home against a chair. Just something that's a reference point, which is, just outside of your lead heel, and you can see that it's around about a hand's width from my thigh. And very simply, as you're moving earlier, as we discussed in that first point, you're going to feel like you move more, and the two go together. If you can shift more and earlier, you're going to be in a really good position. Note how my head hasn't really moved. I'm not shifting my whole body forwards. My head is staying pretty centered, but I'm starting to shift my lower body. And by using that alignment stick, I can actually just quite simply kind of feel that contact. And a great little exercise is actually just to hold the club in one hand and just make some swings and just try and get the club to land target side of the ball. So if I keep my hips pretty centered, that contact always feels like it's going to be before the golf ball. I can actually see the contact with the ground. It's starting around about here. So I want to be sort of making this little movement and just using my hips, oops, hit the golf ball out of the way there, a little bit of a blooper, and using my hips to sort of shift forwards to control where that point is. As soon as I add that lateral shift and make contact with that alignment stick, the contact with the ground suddenly moves target side of the ball. That's why we're making that move, because the more you can shift your hips, generally the later you make contact with the ball, and you're going to get better quality of strikes. So once you've done that, you can set something like this and you can go ahead and hit some shots. So I want to be feeling that I shift early, and I want to be feeling that I shift more into that lead side as I do that. And finally, through impact, big difference in the pros and the amateurs. This one might surprise many of you. Professional golfers or great players tend to actually stand up more through impact. Amateur players tend to stay down too long through impact. Now, for many of you, you might be thinking, hang on, I'm trying to stay down. Surely that's correct. Surely you don't want to be lifting your head. You might be thinking that's where my poor strikes come from. It's actually the opposite way around. So let me explain what I mean. We're talking about sort of body angles here. So when I take a setup to the golf ball, I'll talk about why this alignment stick is there in a moment. As I take a setup to the golf ball, I'm flexed forwards. There is some bend forward in my body. So you can see how my sort of chest is facing the ground. Now the opposite to that is this movement. This is extension, where you can see I'm arched backwards and my chest is pointing to the sky. So this is flexed, this is extended. Where do we start? Flexed forwards. Where do we see great players at the end of their golf swing? Are they here, flexed forwards, or are they here, extended backwards? Well, they're here. They're tall and they're extended backwards. If we take that a little bit further, where are they halfway into their downswing? Flexed forwards. So if they're flexed forwards halfway into their downswing, and as they get towards their follow through, they are extended backwards, what are they actually doing? Well, they're taking their body from there to here. They're standing up. Why is that so important? Well, it allows them to get this beautiful extended position post-impact, where the elbows are close, the arms are extended, the club is away from them. As soon as you try and keep your head down, what it means is you're probably going to be having rotation, but you're not really having the extension. The golf club, when I do that, doesn't move up into the air. When I extend my body, it does. So when you're rotating and you're staying too down on the golf ball, you will use your elbows to get the club up. Now, how many of you have looked at it on camera and seen something like that? Very, very common. What do we see with the pros? Different body shape, different arm structure. The pro golfers are standing up or extending more through impact than most amateurs. If you can change that concept, change that movement, you're going to be staggered at the results you're going to get. I placed an alignment stick in the ground. Let's go through why that's the case. This is a great little drill to give you that kind of eureka moment as to what the pros do. Take a setup. You can see I've got it angled at, I don't know, maybe 45 degrees. Take a grip as if it's a golf club. And I want you to very simply from here go through to your finished position. Obviously the stick is stuck in the ground, but it's stuck in the ground in a way that I've got to pull it out in this direction. I can't just pull it up and I can't just pull it forward. The last thing I want you to do is pull it out with your arms. What I would love you to do is think about taking your body from this flex forward position, and as you pull it out, you go into that extended position. There you can see. So I've got rotation, my weight shifted forwards, and I extended. And because of the way that that alignment stick is in the ground, it really gives me the idea of what I need to do with my body. Many of you will instinctively pull it this way. Okay, and if that is what you feel like you want to do, that's a really good sign that this is something you're maybe lacking in your golf swing. And if you lack this, you're really going to struggle to have that really solid impact. So we go alignment stick, can I pull it out the ground and get tall? That's the movement you want. Now what you would then do is you would bring a ball in and you would hit some very, very short shots. Starting from this delivery position here, I'm flexed forwards. I'm going to land the club and extend. Okay, and I don't have to hit this over a great distance, but I want to be focusing very much on what my body shape is. There's my delivery, there's my extension. I actually had the feeling that I was standing up, and you will not top it. You will not thin it. That might be what you feel like is going to happen, but it's actually the contrary. The more that you stay down, if I kind of show you, the more that I try and stay down over the golf ball, the more likely I am to top it because my elbows are going to separate. The golfers who try and stay down more are often the ones who top it and thin it more. So get standing up, get extending. That's what the pros do. That's what you need to do.